What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hope Shot. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I always have a great weekend. We have awful work, so it's always a good weekend. Nah, we we had the the grandparents, my dad and my stepmom. They were in town, and the kids got to have some quality time. We all had some quality time together, and I think this was a great weekend to have that family time. And it's been a long time coming, so definitely it was a great, awesome weekend. Ready? I'm actually ready for the week. I'm usually not. I know Caesar. She's like, don't bring that negativity in my life. Hey man, oh wait. First, if you guys just jumping on, say what's up. Let us know you're here. Hit that share button, man. Get this out there. Caesar, will you please read that clarity statement?
The Hope Shot clarity statement. We here at the Hope Shot are a group of people in recovery spreading inspiration. We come from all different walks of life and pathways of recovery. Our verbiage may be different at times, but we all have one thing in common: recovery as a lifestyle. We support all pathways of recovery. It doesn't matter how you get from A to Z, just get there. And thank you for being a part of our Hope Shot family.
I'm already. Thank you, Caesar. By the way, thank you. I'm already reading the comments. I guess somebody told somebody there's going to be some kind of prize or something for
the prize. The prize is we're just going to keep making more memes of you.
That's it, Rudolph. More memes of Rudolph. More memes.
Rudolph
memes. I'm gonna have to jump on this bandwagon and start doing that. I haven't been playing with y'all, man. What's up, Rudolph, man? Glad you're here. The prize is you're here. Welcome. You're a winner. Lauren, what's up, Lauren? I miss getting to watch this. We missed you here. Staying high from work, 22 months and 17 days clean now. If you're new to recovery, lean on all of us. We're here for you. Congratulations to you, Lauren. Let's see. We got Rachel in the house. What's up, Rachel? Sober now. Hope you're feeling better. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, if Rue gets a prize, I want one too. You're here as well. Congratulations. You won. Oh, we got Sherry. Hey, it's my first time logging on. Been seeing this for a bit. Well, I'm glad you're here, Sherry. We got a good topic for tonight. We got Grandma Hope Shot. We got Helen in the house. We got Ashley. Good to see you. And we got Laura. Thank you all for having me here. Thank you for being here. Roofie the reindeer. Oh man, that's good stuff.
I'm not touching that one.
Well,
I'm not making that meme.
Yeah, that's the Island of Misfits where that comes from. In true fashion. Oh man,
reindeer.
Yeah. So tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about giving your trauma a purpose. And that comes from all different points of view. Trauma is in all types. It's individualized, as they say. It's all about the individual person, how that trauma affects you in any which way. It could be small, it could be big. We don't know how it's going to affect us, to be honest with you. Nate, weren't you going to do some kind of disclaimer?
Yeah, I just wanted to say none of us here are therapists. We are not doctors. We're just some guys that got sober through a recovery process, and these are just our opinions and our personal experience. If you guys are experiencing trauma, please go consult a doctor, a therapist, someone you trust. We're just relating some personal experiences while dealing with this subject. That's all.
Thanks, Nate. So, we want to kind of mix it up a little bit and bring some different references, I guess you could say, to this. So I wanted to define trauma and I wanted to define purpose. So trauma refers to a deeply distressing or disturbing experience or event that overwhelms a person's ability to cope or process it effectively. It can be caused by a variety of situations such as physical or sexual abuse, natural disasters, accidents, violence, or witnessing a traumatic event. Trauma can have a significant impact on an individual's mental, emotional, and physical well-being. often leading to symptoms such as flashbacks, nightmares, anxiety, depression, and difficulty functioning in daily life. Now, purpose. The purpose of something refers to its reason for existing or its intended function. It is the underlying goal or objective that drives the existence or use of something. Defining the purpose of something helps provide clarity and direction, ensuring that efforts and resources are focused towards achieving the desired outcome. It can also help making decisions and setting priorities. Having a clear sense of purpose can contribute to overall well-being and a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment in life. That's straight from the Computer 5000. Yeah, man, giving your trauma purpose. And like I said, it doesn't matter how big or how small that trauma can be. It could be something that as small as your parents getting divorced. You know what I mean? Because I think that every kid goes through a traumatic experience in their lifetime, from when they're growing up, and it affects us all the way up until your 30s, your 20s, your 40s, maybe even 50s and 60s. Who knows? It's all about when you're willing to work on it. I didn't even realize coming into this recovery thing that I even had traumatic experiences or I had anything that was underlying. I thought I had a drug problem, an alcohol problem. I thought that was my problem. But I figured out that it was much deeper than that. And the drugs and alcohol was just a symptom. And, so all my stuff stems from childhood. Like I said, and it's not like, I think my teenage years were more traumatic than my actual young years. But it all started from not fitting in when my parents got divorced and not knowing where my identity lied. I didn't know where I belonged, to be honest with you. It carried all the way till I was 35 years old. And now I'm telling you, man, I've been in recovery for 5.5 years. And this year alone, I finally had a breakthrough with myself. I finally stopped chasing whatever it was that I was fantasizing about in my brain that I was looking for, and just been okay with just this present moment and being here and present. And that makes me so I can actually achieve what my purpose is and look at it as my purpose. Like this whole Hope Shot thing, man. This wasn't in the cards, to be honest with you. This thing was not supposed to happen. I was doing a business. I was a small business owner. And here we are doing a podcast every Sunday. You know what I mean? If everything that has lined up this far through this work that we're doing here on the Hope Shot and in our community, everything has lined up exactly how it's supposed to. But that is only contingent on how I deal with that inner child inside of me that is damaged. I had a lot of damage, and I didn't even know that inner child was in me. And it's like sometimes we as adults, man, we still have to have that playful heart, I guess you could say. And but I have to, because I'm sitting here trying to be a parent to my kids. And I have to tell them that, like when the fun is over, you got to kind of let it go. And as I'm telling them about this, I had this experience come up from me. Like I never wanted the fun to stop either. I never wanted the fun to stop, and it kept going and going and going. I was the guy that closed down the bar. I was the guy that stayed up the next morning on ecstasy and wanted even more and kept doing it when it wasn't even working. I stay up for days and days and days because I never wanted the fun to stop. And here I'm trying to be a parent and tell my kids that, like, you have to control yourself and you have to do this, da, 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 da. And I have to, it's okay for me to teach them that, but in the same sentence, it's okay to like want to have fun as well. In this parenting field, I always like to try to throw my past traumas on them as well. And I talk about that a lot because, like, I'm afraid that they down the same path as me. And so my parenting sometimes is swayed by my trauma responses. So I get triggered by it anytime they get bullied or like, I don't know, some kids acting up, but I have to remember they're just fucking kids too, and they're allowed to be. I wanted to read one thing real quick. I did find something else that I wanted to read because it says research has shown that children are particularly vulnerable to trauma because of their rapidly developing brains. During trauma experiences, a child's brain is in heightened state of stress and fear-related hormones are activated. Although stress is a normal part of life, when a child is exposed to chronic trauma like abuse or neglect, the child's brain remains in this heightened pattern. Remaining in this heightened pattern state can change the emotional, behavioral, cognitive functioning of the child in order to maintain and promote survival. Over time, these traumatic experiences can have a significant impact on a child's future behavior and emotional development, mental and physical health. And like that, when I read that, dude, I was like, well, that was me, because I was like that all the way to 35 years old. I was that 12-year-old kid that was like scared, afraid, and didn't know what the fuck to do. Because I started using at 12 years old. So I stayed in that I don't know, in that childlike setting, man. Like I didn't grow up until I hit 35 years old and I stopped using drugs. And oh man. Oh, my screen bleeped out. Sorry. And like I said, I only started growing as soon as I hit 35 years old, when I stopped putting the substance in me. And then, like I said, this past, 5 years, man, or this past year is when I finally hit a breakthrough. And, but anyways, I feel like I'm rambling now. But, it's like, man, if all the, so when the Hope Shot started, that shame and guilt from being who I was, that 130-pound guy that was a junkie, that was a drug addict, that was a homeless guy, I didn't start dealing with all that shit until I actually, I don't know, forgave myself. I had to forgive myself from all that bullshit I put myself through, all the shit that I went through when I was a kid, all the torment that I put on myself about how I'm not going to be good enough, or I'm not going to be this, or I'm not going to be that, or I'm no good, nobody wants me around. It's all that shit that I brought with me, and those fantasies that I put in my head about what life is and who I am as a person. And I never dealt with all that shame and guilt of what I put myself through as well. So as soon as I started forgiving myself when the Hope Shot started, because as soon as my mugshot got blasted all over the internet, that's when man, it brought up so much shit. Like I got found out, like that's who I am. My identity lies in that guy. And then I had to actually deal with that. And I never really dealt with it, I feel, until, like I said, this past year. I never really dealt with a lot of it, man. I just kind of covered it up with work and money and freaking work. That's all I did was work. And I always covered it up with it. And as soon as I dealt with it, I felt like I could turn it into something good. And that's why, like, I try to get on here every week and try to, share my recovery, share what good I have, even when I feel like I don't have nothing to share, or I feel like an imposter. Especially going in some of these arenas, man, like some of these things that I'm doing, I have no clue sometimes what I'm doing, but I just keep going, like I don't have any clue. I don't know how to, I don't even know where we're going, to be honest with you. But I know it has a reason and rhyme, because it keeps happening and things keep happening. And just like Sober Now in the comments, man, we always talk about it. We have no clue what the hell we're doing at times, but we just keep going, put our best foot in front of each other, in front of the other, and it makes sense. And then you start learning and you start growing and you keep growing, and that's it. And that is, I feel like I'm about right now, I'm doing a transition from running a small business where I'm going to make less money doing this, doing nonprofit work, but I feel like it's meant to be. And then when it's meant to be, man, you can't deny the facts that things are falling into place, and things are falling into place, and we have no control of where it's going, what it's not doing, or anything. Like, it's just meant to be, and it's happening right in front of me. And if you're going to deny and turn away from it, you know what I mean, then what are we really doing here? You know what I mean? And then it's a miracle doing this stuff. So anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling. Nate.
All right. You don't want to read comments? No.
Yeah, I can
I'll
read
take
some
off.
comments.
I don't mind, but
Yeah, I'll read some comments. Let's see. We got we got Ashley's got 7 months in recovery. Congratulations, Ashley. We got Sober Now says winner chicken dinner. Yes, I'm in the up. It's been a rough but grateful for every day and grateful for the Hope Shot. Grateful for you. I'm glad you're feeling better. She said, yes, sir. That's what my book did. It gave my trauma a purpose. And guess what? There's another book coming because we can always share our experience. It heals us and it brings healing to others. That's right. Rudolph, bless you, Nate.
I sneezed.
No, did
yeah, he caught it.
Steve, what up, the shot?
What up, Steve?
Love you too, Steve. Let's see. We have Rachel, turning your pain into power. It's alchemy, freaking magic. Steve says, in the right room at the right time with the right people, hearing the right things, all about relationships. That's a fact.
Amen.
And we got flavored dishes from scratch. Oh, yeah. I like that. 2.5 years. Congratulations. All right. And that's it, man.
All right. Yeah. So this quote, it says, trauma is not what happens to us, but what we hold inside in the absence of an empathetic witness. And this is a really sensitive subject for me personally. And I like this one line. It says, trauma isn't the result of weakness. And at the end of this quote, it says, you have to actually cultivate a real sense of safety within your body to reverse the impact of trauma. And I had no idea, like, I just wanted to stop hurting, I just wanted to stop, being sad and depressed and lonely and empty and vacant. And I wanted to know what self-worth was, self-esteem. And like Justin was saying, I thought it had everything to do with drugs and alcohol. But that was the solution for me, and it was a good solution for a long time until it wasn't, it stopped working. And what I discovered since I've gotten into recovery is and I guess this was happening before I got sober, but I just didn't realize, wasn't aware of too much that was going on emotionally or mentally in that time. But once I put the drugs and alcohol down and my system clears up, and I plug into this process and do some work and, get a conscious contact with a God I believe in and start helping others, I start to, I can't help but start to notice like some patterns and some behaviors that, that I can't blame on drugs and alcohol no more because they're removed from my life. Right. So why am I still full of fear? Why am I still have all these insecurities? Why do I still feel like I am unworthy, or my body is ugly, or I'm a failure, or I'm never going to amount to anything? I don't belong here. I don't belong there. And which is not to say that these are a constant, but these are fleeting thoughts that still travel through my head at times. And a lot like Justin, I had to, it took me about probably 3.5 years until I really, maybe even 4. It might've been like 4 years until I really started delving into the subject of trauma and really even, and actually, somebody told me that, everything that I was meant to deal with, I was meant to deal with at a certain time. If I would have addressed these issues early on in recovery, I might not have been equipped or had the wherewithal or the strength to deal with it. And because, and this is what I discovered. I have a tendency to minimize some of the things that I endured in the 20 plus years when I was getting loaded. You know, I have a tendency to sweep under the rug. Not that I don't know I was there, or, you know, I'm not willing to talk about it, but the things that occurred in these environments, you know, not only in prison, but also when I was on the streets. You know, I seen people killed, I seen people stabbed, I've been robbed, I've been beaten, I've been held at gunpoint, I've been held hostage. Like, these are things that happened. It was just a regular day, you know. I have this tendency to be like, oh, you know, everybody that's, you know, been through something like that. And actually, no, they haven't. You know, it's not an everyday routine for most. And then the other thing I'll have a tendency to minimize is the experiences I had in prison. You know, because in those environments, you're in a perpetual state of like defense. You know, like a constant fight or flight mode. And I mean, for Christ's sakes, I got caught, you know, selling stuff and, you know, making money and sending money back to the streets and getting, you know, whatever, the hustle in prison. And I was, you know, handcuffed, beaten, and then waterboarded by, you know, correction officers. And, you know, these are like, these things happened, and I can like, you know, I probably deserved it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and that's the mentality that I had. I felt that these things I deserve because of what I did, who I was, you know, who I let down, you know, comes with the territory type shit, you know? And, so I get sober, and I start, you know, not having, the luxury of blaming alcohol and drugs on all my problems. And I have to start taking a hard look at that I am the problem. You know, it had nothing to do with drugs and alcohol. It has everything to do with my choices and how I perceive and react to external circumstances, namely people, places, and things. You know, I have this, you know, things get filtered through me a little differently than most. Not to say I'm unique, but I feel like alcoholics and addicts just have the way they take things in or come through a different lens, you know? And for me, I had to really start digging deep and getting to, how do I even get to that space? So then that's the most important, you know, thing I feel like I need to express here is, how do I get like into a space to even look at this stuff? And I have to have like some sort of connection, some sort of spirituality, some sort of vulnerability. And in this quote, it says, the importance of creating a safe and supportive environment for survivors to share their stories, as empathetic validation helps survivors find healing and strength. So I have to build a fellowship around me of people that I trust and can confide in. And I have to get honest for once. I have to take responsibility, get honest, tell people the dark shit that I've never wanted to tell anybody because I'm ashamed. And by shining a light on those deepest, darkest secrets, they lose their power. But for me, my journey didn't end by, you know, working the steps or working with a sponsor or helping others. I had to delve deeper. I had to go to a therapist. I had to, you know, whatever I needed to do, I had to do. And I think it's important for me to understand, like, because what I will do is if I am not feeling okay, I feel like I'm not doing this right. That's where I'll go to. My mind will go to if I get angry, if I get frustrated, you know, I'm not doing recovery right. I must not, you know, my God, he's not there. I don't have any, you know, I go dark real quick. So it's important for me, in order for me to gain some grace, I needed an outsider outside of my fellowship to help me gain perspective and, you know, to work through some stuff and to get honest and in a way that, you know, I've never gotten honest before. And in that process, like in that space, I won't say like everything magically went away. I still have nightmares almost every night. I still, you know, I still leave the water running because I'm used to pushing a button and the water running off. I still don't like to sleep with lights off. Like I I have all these, residual effects, but I have today, I have a way of coping with them. What I've discovered is that the best possible therapy for me has been not only exposing my truth and sharing it with another human being, but also my spirituality. Right? For me, be connecting to a higher power and having a working relationship with that higher power gives me enough space and grace to address these larger issues. If I am not in recovery, if I am not doing this deal on a daily basis, if I am not, checking all the boxes and really getting vulnerable in my recovery and continuously seeking and trying to grow, I won't even get to a position or in a safe enough place for these issues to be dealt with. So like, I felt like it was super important for me to get to that space. And once I did, the last year for me has been like completely eye-opening. There's been so many revelations in the last year and a half, and it's scary. Like I said, early recovery, I don't think I'd have been able to stomach it. Today doesn't make it any easier, but I have a fellowship around me. I have spiritual tools and disciplines that I use on a daily basis that allows me to remain grounded when I'm full of fear and talking about some dark stuff. I have some friends that I can confide in and talk about these things and not be judged, because we built a relationship and there's love and non-judgment in these spaces. So for me, like that power of fellowship, the power of a connection with God, A, gives me that space. B, then I have the ability to go out and seek and figure out more and dig deeper, however that looks: therapy, surfing, yoga, whatever it takes for me to, because trauma is stored in the body. I have to, at this point, I have to figure out how to get it out, and whatever that looks like for me. I just know that without recovery, without a God, without the proper circle and the proper encouragement, I would never even gotten to a space to address this stuff. I don't know what the rest of this journey looks like. I don't have all the answers. I'm just a guy that got sober through a fellowship from steps that were passed down by somebody else. But I do know that as long as I keep doing this and showing up in my recovery, I'm able to be in a space and in a position to, ask the harder questions, to dig deeper, and to, not feel ashamed of who I am or what I've been through, but to turn it into something, an experience that I can reach somebody else with. And that's the whole idea of recovery. I take my darkest, most desperate tragedies and I relate that to somebody else, and I show them how I got to the other side of it. And that's the power of my trauma and my personal journey has been, I stopped being a victim and I took responsibility. And in that decision, which I have to make sometimes on a daily basis, it turned into one of my greatest assets. And now I understand that it wasn't for nothing and that all of it had a purpose. And that purpose today is to reach the unreachable and to be able to relate to somebody that think that they're not worthy of recovery, or that something that happened to them was too dark and too shameful to share about it. And I can say, well, this is what happened to me, and give them the space to be vulnerable too. That's the power of recovery. That's the power of turning, your trauma and using it for a more divine and meaningful purpose. That's all I got.
Nice, Nate. Yo, and a lot of times, man, we can sit here and think that we have nothing to offer anybody, and that's all bullshit. How many times have we said it to ourselves? Nobody wants what I got. I ain't got nothing to offer anybody. Even at the guy that has 30 days sober, I've seen a guy in the comments have 60. 60 days, man. You could be helping the one that has 30 or the one that has 1 day. We all have something to offer any length of time, no matter what. It's just the depending on if we want to get the fuck out of our own way, to be honest with you. Get out of our own head, get on our feet, man. Keep it fucking moving. All right. Let me see. We got some comments. And then Caesar. Let's see what we got. I was thinking it was 60 days. Here we go. Michael, 60 days clean today. Congratulations, Michael. Here we got Sierra. Reprocessing those memories positively with the right support surrounding you. Exactly. And we have Brett says, hey, Nate, my main deal is trying not to be complacent on a daily basis. I got to stay connected. Being sober without working a program for me is just a wagon ride to my next drunk.
Amen.
Rachel, one of the hardest things to process in recovery was the PTSD from the traumatic experience of rock bottom. The steps helped me process through the first layer of healing that gave me the confidence to seek outside help through trauma therapy. That outside help changed everything for me and took my healing to a deeper level. Together, the steps and therapy helped me find freedom and turn my pain into power. Ain't nothing wrong with outside help either, man. It is important that we seek outside help. With both of them, man, that's right. You turn your pain into power. It's freedom. Helen says, I too had to get outside help for trauma. Trauma affects our lives in many ways. We have to accept it and work through it, and it cannot be done alone. Exactly. All right, Cesar. Hola.
So it's funny. I didn't really know. I never really acknowledged my trauma. I share my story a lot, and I don't really go super deep when I'm sharing a story in front of a lot of people. I usually don't share all about my childhood, but I remember I was talking to my sister after I got sober one time, and she said, I don't know how you made it out of the way that we were raised. And I was like, what do you mean? Mom and dad were great. We had a great life. She goes, is that what you remember? You think we had a great life? And I was like, yes, absolutely. But you don't know that your life is different or that it's weird until you talk about it out loud to somebody and you realize it wasn't weird. Violence in my house was not only like encouraged, but like it was like just a mainstay. It's my dad was a gangster. I was raised around violence and alcohol and guns, and people got stabbed, and that was normal. And I never really talked about it because of who he was. We didn't talk about that out loud, and you don't share anything outside of the walls of the home. And then kind of following in his footsteps, I was getting in trouble really, really young. And, between the way that I was raised, the core values of violence and we don't talk about anything, and the need to cover something up and the need to change the way I felt about myself and about life obviously led me to using drugs and alcohol. Because if I really am honest looking back, it was kind of a freaking nightmare, but that's not how I glamorized it in my mind. And I would tell the good parts of the story because I didn't want people to know there's, when I was very young, there's weeks at a time that I was left at my house by myself, 7, 8 years old, that just fend for yourself, but I'd make that sound really good and be like, oh, my parents are in New York and I get to be home by myself. Well, 8 years old, you don't want to be home by yourself with no parents trying to figure out what the hell to do for yourself. But, we had a term for that back then. I was a latchkey kid. It's all right. I wore my key around my neck. I went to school, came and unlocked the door, and I made my own soup and I did my thing. But later on, from the way that I was raised and coupled with my decisions, I found that I'd rather be high or drunk than think about those things. And once I found that, I stayed that way. So you take my traumatic childhood, then you pile on top of that a lifetime's worth of being incarcerated and in trouble, and the guilt and the shame that comes from living the way that I lived. And I'm just a defeated mess. And I don't point the finger at anybody. You know, I got into my last rehab after being incarcerated for a while, and I finally reached out and I got a sponsor. And, you know, we started going through steps. And I was writing out these resentments. And the only thing I was really resentful at was myself. Like, if I was being honest, he made me dig really deep. But I wrote down a lot of stuff, but what I was resentful at was myself, because I still had this delusion that I had every opportunity in the world, yet I ended up this way. So I blamed myself all along. And that baggage, that guilt, and that shame from my choices, which spawned from my childhood, kept me sick for a very, very, very long time. I didn't feel worthy of anybody's help. I didn't feel worthy of any type of success, any type of happiness. When I was locked up, I felt like that's exactly where I was supposed to be. So this guy takes me through this work, and we dig deep. And I get this crap out of me, and I finally open up to somebody. Now, mind you, I don't want to sound like I'm a saint and I did everything perfect. You know, when I got into recovery, I thought I was going to move back to Tampa, and this guy lived in Newport Richie. And I was like, I'm just going to dump it on this guy because I have to. I know I've got to do these things. I know I've got to get the result I want. I have to be thorough about this. And that means I have to sit down and admit all these things and talk about them with another person. But I'm never going to see this guy again. So I'm going to dump it on him. I'm going to give this guy nightmares for the next 10 years, and I'm going to get sober. It's going to be awesome. So I tell him everything. And, you know, sidebar is I still live in Newport Richie right now. So it didn't work out that way. God had another plan. But, you know, you take all the years of, well, basically my entire life of just being a shit show of one traumatic thing after another, the way I was raised, to where my own choices took me, to stab wounds, to just you name it. I've got all kinds of evidence all over me of my traumatic experiences in the past. But I can take that through this process that I went through and turn around and take every one of those things that happened to me and use them to help somebody else. And once I realized how valuable that was, it takes all the excuses away. I'm able to pretty much sit down with anybody, and if they have a hang up, like, oh man, I can't do it because of A or B or C, I can go, bull crap. Let me tell you, I went through the exact same thing. I can't do it without my parents, my loved one, without this, without that. Bull crap. I did it no matter what. You can do it. There's so much power when you realize that everything that you went through now can be used to help somebody. To me, it was like the most magical thing in the world, that the thing that had been holding me down forever, the guilt and the shame of my past, is now this shiny asset that I have, that I treasure, that I went through everything that I went through so that I can actually walk with somebody and say, bro, we can get through anything, like anything. If you do this, I will walk right next to you and we can face anything together. And it never gets any less magical to me that this recovery process can take a turd and polish it into a diamond. It's like the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and it took me finally giving up on my schemes, my ideas. Oh man, eventually I'll outgrow this foolishness. No, I didn't, because I didn't get sober till I was 37. Oh, eventually I'll figure out how to just drink and not use drugs. Nope, that didn't work. Every scheme and every plot that I had, it took what it took. I had to prove that to myself to finally go, okay, I don't have any more ideas of how to shuck and jive my way out of this. I'm going to go do the stuff that everybody else says works. And these people keep coming into these treatment centers, and I really thought they were full of crap. I'm just going to be honest. I thought they're full of crap. They come in with these big smiles on. Saturday night, they're sitting in a treatment center, and I'm like, y'all are lame. But once I got my ass kicked enough, all of a sudden my ears turned on, and the guy sitting there is telling a story, and I'm like, you're telling my story, except you're happy. You have a lightness about you. Your laugh sounds genuine. I've been fake laughing for a decade. I pretend to be happy. I pretend to be cool. I pretend to be all these things. This process has given me the freedom that I don't have to pretend. If I'm having a bad day, I can say I'm having a bad day. But when I'm happy, I'm truly happy and I'm joyous. And I keep joy with me all the time because I have this thing that is more valuable than anything I've ever known. I thank my God for it every single night, that somebody showed me the path of recovery and took that nightmare shit show of a past and turned it into an asset for me to help other people. It blows my mind. So, we're talking about any kind of trauma. But I mean, if you're on this show, you've probably experienced some kind of a traumatic event in your past. Just being an addict, period, in addiction, caught in that, is traumatic in itself. And to turn that into your most valuable asset, to turn that nightmare into something that can help so many others, I feel like there's no way you can get your hands on that and not be excited and not go, oh my God, I'm going to share it with everybody. It's just like, it's magical. And I'm grateful every single day. And I'm still learning. Like right before we came on here, Justin was talking about the topic and I was like, I ain't got no trauma. Like, it's still just hardwired in me because I didn't think it was trauma. I didn't understand what trauma was. My wife would tell me, oh, that's trauma. That's trauma. Well, man, if that happened to me, that'd be traumatic. And I'm like, no, it's just normal. It's normal that people have giant knife scars on their forearms, and it's normal, like all of this stuff. But it was normal to me because I didn't know anything else. Do I think my mom and dad were bad people for the way I was raised? No, I love my mother and father. I just didn't know anything else, and neither did they. So everybody's been forgiven. Everything is fine. But I have to recognize that most of my coping skills from the age of 7 or 8 years old till 37 years old are completely useless to me today. They were just defense mechanisms and walls that I built up to be able to survive. What serves me today is to continue growing spiritually and learning healthy ways to cope, to talk about things instead of bottling them up and saying, no, I'm fine, because I'm good at that. I'm good at saying, no, I'm fine. I don't like to look weak. I like to be strong. I like to be the one that people come to. But sometimes I have to be able to lean on some people. And the program teaches me that. It teaches me that I can have people that I can lean on when I'm not so strong that day. And I can open up and I can share things. Like what I'm sharing here on the screen tonight, I don't think I've talked about that stuff out loud to other than like a handful of people, like my childhood and stuff. But if I don't share it out loud, it can get power back over me, back in the other direction. So I try to live real transparent today. I try not to give it the power back. I try to let God have the power and show his power through my actions. That's all I got.
Thanks, Caesar. Yeah. I really like that, man. Like I didn't write like I even talked to Nate about this before. It's like I didn't even know really. I guess I minimized, this shit, or really didn't recognize it as trauma. You know what I mean? Because it was normal. It was normal growing up to have all that chaos. You
Yeah, I
know?
mean, like my definition of trauma was like, oh, like PTSD, like guys that went to war. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
traumatic. Like, wow, that is, and they called it in the First World War, they came back shell shocked. Like, I'm going, my stuff's like, I ain't got no trauma. I do. My life was traumatic by every sense of the word. I just didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that it was
Yeah.
all that weird the way that I was brought up until somebody
Yeah.
told me, "What the hell do you mean? That's not normal." Like my own wife was like, "People don't 7, 8-year-olds don't get left at their house 2 weeks at a time. That's not normal." I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was great. Like I spun this whole lie in my head. Like, no, it's great, man. Like I did my own thing. And yeah, no, I wasn't supposed to do my own thing.
Um. So I'm gonna read one more quote. Okay, and then we have if we do not acknowledge our collective trauma, how can we ever heal from it? When we speak, when we share, we can change things, maybe even change the world. And I really like that because, like Caesar was sharing, like if we don't heal from it, first we have to acknowledge it. How are we gonna ever acknowledge it if we keep minimizing it or like thinking that we didn't go through things? Man, when I was growing up, when my teenagers, I used to see my mom get beat, like beat. You know what I mean? Like, and that, I mean, listen, I did think it was like normal. Everybody just does that. And also the drugs, man. The drugs was normalized in my house. I was shooting up with my stepdad at 13 years old. That's not normal shit. Or slinging, drugs all the time. I was telling, she's just like Tiffany. I was telling her about my stuff. And then she's like, does that sound normal to you? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, that's not normal. Like, I had to figure out what normal actually is and what is normal. Who fucking knows what normal is? And I don't think there is a normal, but it's just a dulled down version of what chaos is. And I I like talking with Nate about it, and like finally I checked myself into some therapy, and I never been to therapy before. Maybe when I was younger, man, they try to dope you up with pills and shit. They try to give you a bunch of pills when you're younger. Wellbutrin and this, that, and the other thing. Well, I was like, I'm already self-medicating myself, so I'm good to go. And I think that's what it is, man. It's self-medication through the drugs and alcohol, and we just keep doped up so we don't even realize what kind of trauma there was until we get off of it, and then we can actually start dealing with the process of the trauma that we went through, of the healing that needs to take place. And if we never acknowledge that there is healing that needs to take place, how the fuck are we ever going to work on it? And that's something that I'm really grateful for, that I met people in my life and actually took suggestions, because if we never take suggestions, how are we ever going to actually move forward in the right path? And me going to therapy, me doing meditation anymore, that is me doing the healing. I'm healing. I'm telling you, man, I have gotten more compliments about how I present myself now than I have in a long time, because I'm more calm. I used to be in chaos, like just internal chaos. And it's not external chaos, it's all internal chaos. And I was just a mess without drugs and alcohol. I was just wilding. And finally, man, when I started doing this meditation work, man, that's when I really felt at peace, and I stopped chasing whatever the hell it was that I was chasing. And if you guys have never done it, I would highly suggest it. If you're in the healing process, you're looking for what's gonna do it, what's the trick, what's this, definitely doing whatever recovery program you subscribe to, as Nate says. But also, man, get yourself in some therapy, man. Ain't nothing wrong with it either. We talk about that all the time too. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Um, and I highly suggest it. And meditation, I highly suggest that too. But yeah, I'm gonna read some comments. Let's see, we're gonna go back right. Um, We got Brett says, last thing I tried was the first thing that worked. I'm a lifer. I got to do this recovery thing for life, or I'll be doing life in prison or life pushing a shopping cart. I got to remember on my best day. I need this program as much as I did on my most miserable, desperate one. It's suicide on a payment plan, you know, doing life, was that life on a payment plan too with prison? Yeah, exactly what it is. We got Kelly says that was a huge revelation for me. I can still love my parents and disagree with things they did. Exactly, man. I think everybody's just learning. We have to understand that we all people, man. You know, we're all people doing the best we can at times, you know, and they did the best they could of what they had. I had to come to that revelation too. Let's see. We got Sierra says, absolutely remember where you come from, because there's always more yets if not. Yes. Those yets will get you. Jason, good for you, Caesar. Great share, bro. Allie says, damn, Caesar, nice. Thank you for being transparent. Sierra says, we had a war of our own. Michael, I'm working on forgiving myself for the pain that caused my family and my addiction. Helen says, before I got sober, I thought life was normal. Working the steps changes perspective. Katie, thank God our kids didn't have to go through any of that. Exactly. That's a fact. Amy Lee, I can say I love my parents, but not like them, hoping that can change with this healing process. Rudolph, thank you guys for getting on the topic of complex trauma. Justin already knows that's been my key discovery I've been rambling on about for the past 7 months. Exactly. Amongst other things, bro. Amongst other things. Let's see. Rachel's, my coping strategy has always been to just soldier through the painful stuff. So it was hard to acknowledge how deeply affected I was by the traumatic experiences in my life. Being triggered helped me see where I needed to go deeper in my healing journey. Grateful for those triggers today.
Dude. See, like that is kind of what I was trying to say, except you just typed it out so nicely. Like
In one paragraph.
Right. Like I thought everybody just soldiered through everything. You don't talk about it. You don't bitch about it. You don't whine about it. And if you have to ask for help, you're weak. Like that's the way that I thought. And I never got any help because I never asked for any help because I thought it was normal to just plow through misery every single day and do it with a smile on your face. And that's just not normal.
No. Nope. Yeah.
No, yeah.
No. Sorry, I was reading. No, yeah. Well, it's always like when we were kids, we were just told to suck it up. Suck it up. I do to my kids too. Suck it up, buttercup. You know?
I mean, it's different. Suck it up because you stubbed your toe is different than like suck it up. There's somebody bleeding on the floor in front of you. You know, like it's our kids have it good. You know, they have healthy parents right now.
Thank God. You know what I mean? We don't have to pass that shit down. Thank God. Rudolph, Caesar dropped that knowledge so hard the elf fell off the shelf.
Thank you, Rudolph.
Helen, my worst trauma happened in sobriety. There was no numbing it. I had to get help or I would end up back out there. That's one of the biggest hurdles with the stigma attached to mental health and addiction. People don't understand that trauma is trauma to the brain. Emotional trauma is still trauma, and our brains protect us the same way as it would if we were at war. We are at war. That doesn't diminish what our service members do for our country, but it does elevate the significance of little trauma. I got sober when I was 39, 12, 24, 21. having to learn an entirely new set of coping mechanisms still. Oh, wow. And
Oh,
cut
that's
it
a
off.
bummer. I would have liked to hear the rest of that.
Yeah. I have to see exactly what the rest of that says. Hold, please. Let's see if I can get it on Facebook because I want to read the rest of it. I don't know why I cut it off. It drives me nuts. Let's see. There we go. All right. There we go. Mechanisms while simultaneously unlearning the ones that no longer serve us and is freaking hard. But we can do it, and when we do it, helping others before they have to endure what we did is the ultimate paradise, and that's the purpose. That's what we're shooting for. Thank you for that. Let's see, we got Tracy. If you don't get it out, you can't heal. My darkest days brought me some of the biggest joys. And that's it, man. All right. Well, you guys got any? Nathan, want to add anything?
No, I think it's been covered pretty eloquently. Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody getting honest in here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's it for tonight, guys. Catch us next Sunday, 8 p.m. If you're new here, 8 p.m. live. We go every Sunday with topics. And then last Sunday of the month, we usually do a story. We have someone come on here and share their story. And we go live Eastern time, 8 p.m. every Sunday. And hope you guys have a great week. And we'll see you next Sunday. See ya.